If you've ever lived in an HOA neighborhood, you already know the most dangerous creature isn't the coyote, the snake, or even the wasp nest under the porch light. It's the HOA Karen, clipboard in hand, Bluetooth headset blinking like a police siren, ready to enforce community harmony by destroying your weekend plans. And on that humid Saturday afternoon, I, Marcus Reed, made the fatal mistake of inflating my pool float. It all started with one harmless group text. My buddy Tyler had just finished installing a new sound system for my backyard pool. Waterproof speakers, wireless subwoofer, the whole setup. "Dude," he said, "this sound system begs for burgers and chlorine." So I did what any responsible homeowner would do. I sent out a message that said, "Pool party. Saturday. Bring burgers and bad decisions." Within an hour, half the neighborhood had responded with emojis of excitement. Even the retired couple across the street texted, "We'll bring the potato salad." That's when my phone buzzed again, an unknown number with a message that looked like it was written by someone who signs their emails with "Best regards" and pure rage. "This is Karen Wilcox, acting HOA president. Be advised that loud gatherings are discouraged per Section 4B of the Noise and Nuisance Policy. Please confirm this event is cancelled." I stared at the message, sipping my lemonade. Discouraged wasn't the same as forbidden, right? Tyler read it over my shoulder and grinned. "Bro," he said, "I'm pretty sure that means crank the bass." And crank it we did. By noon, my backyard looked like a suburban paradise gone rogue. Kids splashing, burgers sizzling, inflatable flamingos drifting across the water like lazy pirates. The speakers blasted 80s rock, and the scent of sunscreen and grilled corn hung thick in the air. For exactly 45 glorious minutes, everything was perfect, until a shadow fell over the fence. Karen had arrived. She was wearing her standard HOA battle armor, a wide-brimmed hat, pressed beige blouse, and an expression that could curdle pool water. Behind her, she wheeled a small cooler, not because she was joining the party, but because she'd brought evidence collection supplies. "Excuse me," she barked, tapping the fence with a clipboard. "Do you have a permit for this gathering?" Tyler raised an eyebrow. "Permit? It's my guy's backyard, not Coachella." Karen ignored him and flipped through her pages like a disappointed librarian. The HOA bylaws state that any event exceeding 8 attendees must be approved by the neighborhood committee, especially when amplified sound is involved. I tried diplomacy. "Karen, it's just neighbors hanging out. We're not running a nightclub." She squinted. "That remains to be seen." Then, to my utter disbelief, she pulled out a decibel meter, an actual handheld sound level tester, and pointed it toward my speakers. The device beeped once. She gasped as if I'd fired a cannon. 82 decibels. That's 22 over the recommended limit. Tyler laughed so hard he nearly dropped his burger. "You brought a radar gun for music?" Karen pursed her lips, scribbled furiously, and marched away muttering, "Enjoy your violation notice." We shrugged and went back to grilling. But 10 minutes later, the HOA group chat exploded with her post. "Police Scarlight, urgent community alert. Loud, unauthorized gathering at 411 Maple Court, Reed residence. HOA is investigating. Noise levels unacceptable. Police Scarlight." She even attached a blurry photo of my backyard like she was breaking national news. The replies came flooding in, not what she expected. "Looks fun, Karen. Can we join? Save me a plate, Marcus." I swear I could feel her blood pressure spike from 3 houses away. An hour later, she returned, this time with a phone camera filming like she was auditioning for Neighborhood Watch, the movie. "You were warned," she said dramatically. "You chose defiance. So I've contacted the County Noise Control Office and the Fire Department, since your grill appears to violate the open flame ordinance." I blinked. "Karen, it's a barbecue." She raised her chin. "It's an open flame hazard adjacent to combustible deck materials." Tyler whispered, translation, "She hates burgers." "Exactly," I muttered. "Karen, you're welcome to join. We have veggie options. That only made her glare harder. I'll be documenting this non-compliance. You'll be hearing from the board. She stormed off again, and true to her word, 20 minutes later we heard distant sirens. At first, we froze. Then someone yelled, "No way!" She actually called them. The fire truck rounded the corner like a red parade float. Neighbors poured onto their lawns, phones recording. The firefighters stepped out, 4 of them, looking confused but amused. The captain, a tall guy with mirrored shades, approached. "We got a call about an uncontained blaze?" I gestured toward the tiny grill. "That's the fire." He blinked. "That's the fire?" Karen appeared again, triumphant, waving her phone. "See. Flames near a wood deck. That's a code violation." The captain turned to her slowly. "Ma'am, that's a Weber Spirit 310. It's certified for residential use. And it's sitting on concrete." Karen frowned. But the smoke. It's drifting toward my hydrangeas." He looked back at me, deadpan. "You cooking hydrangeas?" The crowd burst out laughing. Karen went crimson. "This isn't funny. He's endangering property values." The captain sighed, then smiled. The kind of slow grin you get when someone hands you a perfect opportunity. "Well, since we're already here, might as well make sure everyone's cooled off, right?" Before I could answer, he gave a quick signal. One of the firefighters unrolled a hose, not at full blast, just enough to create a misty arc over the pool. Kids screamed with joy. Adults cheered. Tyler yelled, "Best party ever!" Karen's jaw dropped. "What are you doing?" The captain shrugged. "Community engagement, ma'am. Safety demonstration." He aimed the hose again, spraying a gentle rainbow over the crowd. Everyone was laughing, clapping, soaking wet, and Karen, standing at the edge of the sidewalk, looked like she'd just watched civilization collapse. The fire crew hung around for another 15 minutes, grabbing burgers, joking with the kids, even posing for pictures. Someone started chanting, "HOA Hose Party! HOA Hose Party!" and it caught on instantly. By the time they packed up, half the neighborhood had joined in, and Karen had vanished into her house like a vampire avoiding sunlight. As the truck pulled away, Tyler leaned over and whispered, "Bro, if she thought today was bad, wait till she finds out the firefighters want to come back next weekend for a hydrant-themed cookout." I laughed, shaking my head. "Let her call the HOA police. Next time, we'll make sure to invite them too." But deep down, I knew Karen wasn't done. She never was. Somewhere behind those blinds, she was already drafting her next urgent community email, probably titled Unauthorized Water Activities. And me? I was already planning the sequel, complete with sprinklers synced to music and maybe a guest DJ dressed as a fireman. Because if there's one thing HOA Karen hates more than loud neighbors, it's not being the center of attention. The following Monday morning, my neighborhood HOA email dinged before my coffee even finished brewing. The subject line read like a legal threat wrapped in passive-aggressive frosting. Urgent community update. Water discipline initiative, effective immediately. Oh no. She did it. Karen had weaponized hydration. The email began with her usual corporate tone, "Dear residents," but by paragraph 2, it had spiraled into apocalyptic prophecy. In light of recent irresponsible water consumption events, see unauthorized backyard sprinkling and unsanctioned hose usage, the HOA is implementing immediate restrictions to preserve our shared environmental integrity. Then came the kicker. Effective today, all outdoor water activities, including pools, sprinklers, slip-and slides, and recreational misting, are suspended until further notice. Violations will incur hydration penalties. I choked on my coffee. Hydration penalties? What was she gonna do, fine me for sweating? Tyler texted me seconds later. "Bro, did Karen just outlaw water?" I replied, "Yes. We now live under a dry regime." Within an hour, the HOA chat group was buzzing like a broken sprinkler. "Can we still water our plants? What about bird baths? Does morning dew count as a violation? Karen, of course, replied to every message like she was running a dictatorship. If it sparkles, splashes, or trickles, it's prohibited. You could practically hear her typing through the phone. By noon, I had a plan. I texted my neighbor Lana, who ran the local garden club, and Tyler, the eternal instigator. Emergency meeting, I wrote. Bring ideas and maybe goggles. We met in my garage, whispering like revolutionaries plotting against a tyrant. Tyler rolled out a whiteboard. Okay, people, he said dramatically. Karen wants a drought. We give her a flood of fun. Lana snorted. A hydration protest. Exactly, I said. We'll call it Operation Splashback. Step 1. Subtle defiance. We'd start small, plastic flamingos holding tiny water balloons, sprinklers hidden under lawn gnomes, kids with super soakers disguised as gardening tools. Step 2. A coordinated community hydration day, where every neighbor did something slightly wet at the exact same time. Step 3. Well, we didn't think we'd get that far. But by the next afternoon, Maple Court had turned into a suburban battlefield. At 3 p.m. sharp, sprinklers hissed alive like a synchronized rebellion. Children emerged armed with colorful squirt guns. Old Mr. Jenkins across the street rolled out his inflatable kiddie pool, wearing sunglasses and sipping lemonade like a war general. For the right to splash, someone yelled. I nearly cried laughing. Karen, however, was not amused. Her door burst open like a courtroom verdict, and out she came, armed with her phone, a measuring tape, and a righteous fury that could boil water faster than sunlight. What is the meaning of this? She screamed, storming toward me as I leisurely adjusted a sprinkler nozzle. Watering my grass, I said innocently. Keeping the environment green. You care about that, right? You're violating the Water Discipline Initiative, she barked. Section 3A clearly states. Karen, Tyler interrupted, holding up a dripping sponge shaped like a duck. This is art. Performance art. You can't censor creativity. She looked like she'd just swallowed chlorine. You people are mocking the integrity of this community. Integrity's a bit dry lately, I said. Needs hydration. Before she could respond, a gust of wind caught her hat and sent it sailing into Jenkins' kiddie pool. The neighborhood erupted in laughter. Karen retrieved it with the grace of an angry flamingo and hissed, "Enjoy your fines." The next morning, she made good on her promise. Each of us woke up to envelopes taped to our doors. The heading, HOA Citation, Unauthorized Moisture Event. Tyler read his out loud. Observed sprinkler usage, 15:03 p.m., in direct violation of dry zone enforcement policy. Dude, she time-stamped it. Lana held hers up. Evidence of suspicious lawn wetness. What does that even mean? I opened mine. Deliberate hydration sabotage. I laughed so hard I almost couldn't breathe. We're officially eco-terrorists, guys. By noon, every mailbox on the street had a notice. And that's when something magical happened. Resistance turned into unity. Neighbors started sharing memes. Someone photoshopped Karen onto the cover of Mad Max. Dry Road. Another edited a sprinkler into a wanted poster. The HOA chat thread exploded. Hydration ban protest tomorrow? 4 p.m. Count me in. I'm bringing water balloons. I swear, it was like living inside a sitcom. When the next afternoon rolled around, it wasn't just Maple Court. The entire subdivision joined in. Over 30 homes turned on sprinklers simultaneously. Garden hoses arched rainbows over sidewalks. Someone even rented a bubble machine. And then, as if scripted by fate, the local news van pulled up. The reporter, a young guy with perfectly gelled hair, stepped out, blinking through the mist. We've received multiple reports of a suburban protest against an HOA water restriction? Tyler handed him a lemonade. We call it the Right to Drip rally. The camera panned to Karen's house. Her blinds twitched. Slowly, the front door opened, and there she was, armed with a megaphone and moral outrage. "This is not authorized," she shouted, her voice echoing down the block. "You're destroying community standards." The reporter smiled. "Ma'am, would you like to comment for the viewers?" Karen blinked. "Viewers." He gestured to the camera crew. "Live on Channel 8. For a split second she froze, torn between her addiction to authority and her love of attention. Then she smoothed her blouse and leaned in. "Yes, well, as acting president, I'm simply enforcing responsible water management. These residents are..." Whoosh! A stray water balloon, blue, beautifully round, and clearly guided by destiny, smacked her square on the shoulder. The camera caught everything. There was a pause. Then the entire neighborhood erupted in laughter. Even the reporter doubled over. Karen stood there dripping, mascara running, dignity evaporating faster than puddles in July. "This is harassment," she shrieked, pointing wildly. "I'll have you all cited." But the crowd had already begun chanting, "Let it flow! Let it flow!" It was chaos. Wet, glorious chaos. The reporter signed off with a grin. And that's today's top story. One woman's quest for dryness meets a neighborhood that just wants to stay cool. Back to you, Lisa. By evening, the clip had gone viral online. Title: HOA Karen vs. The Hydration Revolution. Views: 1.2 million in 6 hours. Someone even remixed it with dramatic music. Every time the balloon hit her, it made a cymbal crash. By the next HOA meeting, Karen tried to regain control, slamming her gavel so hard it squeaked. "Order! We need order!" But no one was listening. The laughter wouldn't stop. Tyler leaned over and whispered, "So what's step 3 of Operation Splashback?" I grinned. "Step 3, I said, is where we make it official." "Official how?" "By inviting the people who started this mess, the fire department." His eyes widened. "You're serious?" "Oh, I'm beyond serious," I said. "They're coming back next weekend, with a hydrant demonstration, dunk tank, and free lemonade." He burst out laughing. "You're going to drown the HOA in irony." "Exactly," I said. "And maybe a little water." Because if Karen thought she could dry out our spirits, she clearly underestimated just how hydrated petty revenge could get. Formal notice. Escalation to County Safety Board, immediate action required. The email was written like a Supreme Court decision, complete with numbered paragraphs and words in bold italic. Due to continued noncompliance with HOA directives, I have contacted the County Public Safety Department to investigate illegal water activities and misuse of emergency resources. She even CC'd someone from County Hydration Oversight. Yes, that's apparently real. At the bottom, she'd attached screenshots from the news clip, with arrows pointing to people engaging in unregulated splash activity. Mine was labeled ringleader. Tyler called me right after. "Dude, you made it into her PowerPoint of doom." I laughed. "If she's escalating to the county, I'm escalating to the cosmos." See, what Karen didn't realize was that after the hydration revolution, the fire department's PR page blew up too. The captain, remember the cool one with the mirrored shades, had posted a selfie with us captioned, "Community Cooling Day, Keeping Spirits High and Temperatures Low." The comments were pure gold. "Best use of taxpayer money ever. Can my HOA get a visit too? Free water party? Sign me up." So I called the fire station. "Hi," I said, trying not to sound like someone plotting municipal-level mischief. "This is Marcus Reed from Maple Court. You guys saved my party last week, and our sanity." The receptionist laughed. "Oh yeah, the HOA lady who called about the flammable grill? We've been quoting that all week." "Glad to hear it," I said. "Listen, I've got an idea. You folks ever do community safety demos?" "All the time," she said. "Why?" "Because I think we could host one. You bring the trucks, we'll bring the burgers. Family-friendly, educational, hydrated." There was a pause. Then she said, You're not that guy whose neighborhood staged the water protest, are you? Defined staged. She laughed again. Captain's gonna love this. He's already been talking about coming back. Let me patch you through. 10 minutes later, I had official confirmation. The Maple Court Fire Safety Festival was happening next Saturday, complete with a dunk tank, hydrant demonstration, and yes, community-approved sprinklers. I texted Tyler. It's on. Get the grill. Karen's about to lose her marbles. He replied with a gif of someone getting drenched by a hose. By Friday evening, the street was buzzing. Neighbors decorated their lawns with banners. Stay cool, stay safe, and hydration is a human right. Kids drew chalk art of fire trucks and hoses. Someone even set up a lemonade stand labeled Karen's Tears, $1. Then came the piece de resistance. A massive red and yellow flyer taped to every mailbox, courtesy of yours truly. Community Safety and Hydration Festival. Sponsored by the County Fire Department. Saturday at noon, free entry. Activities include fire truck tours, dunk tank challenge, sprinkler safety demos, barbecue, certified non-flammable, music by DJ Hosebegon. Everyone welcome, especially HOA officials. Smirking face. Karen saw it around 6 p.m. How do I know? Because her scream echoed down the entire block like a banshee discovering glitter in her carpet. The next day was chaos in the best possible way. By 11:30 a.m., the fire trucks rolled in, sirens off but lights flashing. The captain waved, the kids cheered, and the firefighters set up cones and hoses like they were prepping for the 4th of July. Karen's blinds were twitching furiously. At one point, I swear I saw her peeking through binoculars. Tyler stood by the grill, flipping burgers like a DJ spins record. Operation Splashback 2.0, commence. I nodded proudly. Let's educate the people, one splash at a time. The captain climbed onto a small platform and tapped the mic. All right, folks. Today we're gonna show you how to use a hydrant safely, how water pressure works, and Tyler yelled, how to dunk your least favorite HOA member. The crowd erupted in laughter. The dunk tank sat right in the middle of the cul-de-sac, filled with glittery blue water and foam pool noodles. A cardboard cutout of Karen's face was taped to the target. Even the firefighters couldn't hold back their grins. For safety training, of course, the captain said. Purely educational, I added. At noon sharp, the event began, and to everyone's surprise, cars started pulling in from neighboring communities. Word had spread. People came from 2 streets over to see the legendary HOA feud in person. Lana handed out popsicles labeled hydration units. Someone brought a water-themed playlist, Under Pressure, Rain on Me, Firework. It was pure suburban anarchy disguised as a public service. Then came the moment we'd all been waiting for. Karen's front door opened. She emerged like a storm cloud with pearls. Clipboard in hand, lips pressed tighter than a locked hydrant. The crowd quieted, half in fear, half in anticipation. This event is illegal, she screeched. You cannot conduct fire department activities without prior HOA approval. The captain turned toward her, perfectly calm. Ma'am, this is an official county outreach program. Your HOA actually falls under our jurisdiction for public safety education. Her jaw dropped. That can't be true. Oh, it is, he said, grinning. Want to participate in the dunk tank? Great way to engage the community. The crowd gasped, then cheered. Karen froze, the vein in her forehead pulsing like a metronome. I will not make a spectacle of myself. Tyler cupped his hands around his mouth. Too late. The first volunteer, little Timmy from down the block, threw the ball. It missed. The second hit the target perfectly. Splash. The cutout of Karen's face dropped into the tank. Water flew everywhere. Kids screamed in joy. Karen's expression? Utter meltdown. That's harassment. That's character defamation. The captain chuckled. That's public engagement, ma'am. By mid-afternoon, she retreated inside, but it was too late. The whole block had turned into a mini water park. Sprinklers danced, hoses twirled, people cheered every dunk. At one point, a local news drone hovered overhead, filming everything. The captain gave it a thumbs up. I gave it a double peace sign. Tyler, for reasons unknown, held up a rubber duck. That night, the news headline said it all. County Fire Department hosts festival in HOA neighborhood, promotes safety, drenches drama. The reporter smiled at the end. Sources confirm that while the event was a success, one HOA official has filed a complaint alleging excessive merriment. I nearly choked laughing. Tyler texted me, "Guess who's trending again? #Hydration Festival." And sure enough, the clip of Karen yelling illegal water activities was now a meme template. People used it for everything: rainstorms, washing dishes, even crying emojis. My favorite caption: "When your tears violate HOA rules." That night, while we cleaned up, the fire captain walked over. "Hey Marcus," he said, "this neighborhood's got spirit. We do community events all the time. Mind if we make this an annual thing?" I grinned. "You serious?" "Absolutely. You've got a great turnout. And, quite the reputation." "Tell Karen that," I said. "Oh, I don't think she'll be speaking to us for a while," he said, chuckling. We parked a truck in front of her driveway by accident. I nearly fell over laughing. He waved and climbed into the truck. "Stay hydrated, buddy." As the sirens faded into the sunset, I looked around: wet grass, happy neighbors, flickering string lights, the faint sound of laughter echoing through the cul-de-sac. For the first time since moving in, our street actually felt like a community. And Karen? She was somewhere inside, rewriting her next policy draft, probably titled, "Proposal: Ban on Unauthorized Happiness." Karen's rage after the fire festival had been a temperature, the fire department would have declared my block a level 3 heat hazard. By Monday morning, she was already on the warpath, stalking the sidewalks with her clipboard like a Terminator powered by caffeine and pure indignation. Neighbors spotted her muttering to herself, waving papers, and at one point yelling "Statute 4C" at a sprinkler. Then the email hit. Subject: Legal proceedings initiated, HOA versus County Fire Department. Dear residents, in response to recent unlawful activities conducted within our community boundaries, i.e., the so-called Safety Festival, I have retained counsel to pursue appropriate remedies against the County Fire Department and any co-conspirators involved. Regards, Acting HOA President, Karen Wilcox. Tyler texted me the second it arrived. "Bro, she's suing the fire department. This woman's going to need holy water." I laughed so hard my coffee nearly came out my nose. But then came the truly priceless part: she attached scanned evidence exhibit. Each file name was gold. Exhibit A, excessive misting. Exhibit B, illegal dunk tank activity. Exhibit C, emotional distress, water balloon impact. I could practically hear her printer crying. That night, I hosted an emergency hydration summit in my backyard. About 15 neighbors showed up, burgers sizzling, sprinklers on mist mode. Tyler stood at the front like a stand-up comedian hosting a press conference. "All right, citizens of Maple Court," he said, "our glorious leader has declared war on water. Thoughts?" Lana raised her hand. "Can she actually sue the fire department?" "Short answer," I said, "no." "Long answer?" "She can file paperwork until her ink runs dry, but the county has lawyers who eat HOAs for breakfast." Tyler grinned. "So basically, we do nothing and let karma hydrate her." "Exactly." The group laughed. We clinked our glasses of lemonade like resistance fighters. But Karen wasn't bluffing. The next morning, she actually showed up at the county courthouse wearing a beige blazer and clutching a stack of folders thicker than a Bible. She tried to file a complaint titled "Misuse of Municipal Hydrants for Recreational Encouragement." The clerk reportedly told her, "Ma'am, that's not a thing." She demanded to speak to the head fireman. When told there wasn't a head fireman, she threatened to escalate to the governor. By lunchtime, photos of her at the courthouse were circulating online, taken by someone who captioned it, "Local HOA President Demands Arrest of Firefighters for Making Kids Smile." The internet ate it up. Within hours, the comments section turned savage. "She's the final boss of dehydration. She must have lost a water balloon war as a child. Imagine suing water itself." By sunset, Karen was trending again, this time with the hashtag #LetKarenStayDry. Meanwhile, inside our community, things started shifting. The HOA board, usually her silent choir, began to grumble. During Tuesday's meeting, which I attended purely for popcorn, one of the older board members, Phil, spoke up. "Karen," he said slowly, "maybe suing first responders isn't great optics." Karen narrowed her eyes. "Optics? They defiled our community regulations." Phil adjusted his glasses. "They brought free lemonade. They weaponized hoses," she snapped. Lana leaned over to me and whispered, "I think she's 2 bylaws away from a breakdown." But then came the knockout blow. The county sent an official letter addressed to Karen, publicly posted on the HOA bulletin board. It read, "Notice of dismissal. Your submitted complaint lacks standing and has been classified as non-actionable. We appreciate your enthusiasm for civic engagement but recommend hydration and relaxation." They even signed it, "Stay cool." The neighborhood lost it. Someone photocopied the letter and taped it to every mailbox. Tyler printed it on t-shirts. Kids chanted, "Stay cool," whenever Karen walked by. By Thursday, she was twitching like a toaster in a bathtub. Desperate to regain control, she called for an emergency HOA meeting to restore order. It was held in the clubhouse at 6 p.m. sharp. The turnout? Massive. Half the town showed up just to witness the chaos. Karen stood at the podium, papers trembling in her hands. "We have lost respect," she began. "We have allowed mockery, disobedience, and—" Someone in the back yelled, "Fun!" She slammed her gavel. "And anarchy disguised as fun." Tyler whispered, "Did she just quote a Disney villain?" Karen continued, "Our community must re-establish dignity. Therefore, I'm introducing Resolution 7B, Prohibition of Social Gatherings Involving Moisture." The room went silent. Then someone coughed. "Does that include tears?" The laughter started small but spread fast. Even Phil, her longtime ally, was smirking. Karen pounded the table. "This is not a joke." Phil stood up slowly. "Karen, you've embarrassed this HOA. You called firefighters criminals. You banned sprinklers in July. And now you're trying to outlaw humidity." Gasps and chuckles filled the room. She turned red. "I will not be undermined by—" But before she could finish, the projector behind her flickered to life. Someone had connected their phone, and up popped the viral clip of Karen yelling, "Illegal water activities." The timing was divine. The video played in glorious HD, complete with dramatic music someone had added online. When the water balloon hit her, the room exploded in laughter so loud the projector shook. Karen spun around. "Who did that? Who's responsible?" Tyler raised his hand. "Freedom of expression, ma'am. First Amendment." Even Phil was laughing now. Karen's voice cracked. "You're all mocking me." Lana said softly, "Karen, you've become a meme." That did it. Karen grabbed her clipboard, glared at everyone, and shouted, "You'll regret this," before storming out, knocking over a bowl of complimentary pretzels on her way. The door slammed and silence fell. Then, like a slow clap in a movie, someone started applauding. Soon the entire room was cheering. Phil stepped forward. "Motion to suspend Karen as acting president until further review?" "Seconded," half the room shouted. "All in favor?" A sea of hands rose. Motion carried. And just like that, Karen was dethroned. We walked out of the meeting grinning. Tyler high-fived me. "Dude, you didn't just win a war. You ended a drought." I laughed. "You think she's gone for good?" He smirked. Karen never truly leaves. She evaporates, then comes back as condensation. We both burst out laughing. But that night, as I sat on my porch sipping lemonade, I saw a flicker of movement. Across the street, Karen's blinds parted just enough to reveal her silhouette, phone pressed to her ear, pacing furiously. She wasn't done. Because the next morning, a new sign appeared on the community board, written in all caps and permanent marker. Coming soon. HOA presidential election, reinstatement campaign begins. And under it, in bold red letters, make Maple Court dry again. I nearly spit out my drink. Oh no, I muttered. She's running a campaign. Tyler texted seconds later. Round 2. I grinned at the sign, the ridiculous slogan, the inevitable chaos it promised. Oh, it's on, I typed back. Operation Splashback, Rehydration Edition. By sunrise the next morning, Maple Court looked like a political circus. Overnight, Karen had plastered every lamppost, mailbox, and garbage bin with campaign posters screaming, "Make Maple Court dry again." Each one featured her face, chin high, lips pursed, haloed by clipart sun rays. Beneath it read, "Vote for discipline. Vote for decorum. Vote for dry law." Tyler called me the second he saw them. "Bro, she's turned this into prohibition for swimming pools." I stepped outside, coffee in hand, staring at the posters. "She's not just running for president," I said. "She's running for dictator of dehydration." Lana texted seconds later. "We're counter-campaigning. Operation Splashback. Phase rehydration is go." By noon, our retaliation began. Tyler's garage had transformed into campaign headquarters. We printed glossy flyers featuring me, holding a garden hose like a sword, with the tagline, "Stay cool, vote wet." Below it in small print, "Because happiness shouldn't require a permit." We stapled them to fences, handed them out with lemonade, and even taped one to Karen's mailbox. When she saw it, she screamed so loudly that birds evacuated the trees. Within hours, Maple Court was divided, half team wet, half team dry. It was the most ridiculous political war in suburban history. Karen's side held meetings about water discipline and moral decay. They wore beige polos and carried clipboards like armor. One even had "Dehydration is dignity" printed on his hat. Our side? Hawaiian shirts, inflatable flamingos, and water pistols strapped like holsters. The line was drawn, literally. Someone painted a chalk border down the middle of the street labeled, "Wetlands versus Desert Zone." The first debate was held in the community clubhouse. Karen insisted it be formal and orderly. We insisted on serving punch. Phil, the former HOA treasurer, acted as moderator. "All right," he said, trying to hide a smile. "Tonight's topic: the role of moisture in modern communities." Karen adjusted her scarf dramatically. "Our homes were built on principles of civility, peace, and dryness. Excessive water activities promote chaos, mildew, and moral erosion." Tyler raised his hand. "Moral erosion? You mean like, from rain?" The audience giggled. Karen scowled. "Rain is a natural occurrence. What I oppose is intentional wetness." I stood. "So you're anti-fun, anti-hydration, and possibly anti-life, given we're 70% water?" The room roared with laughter. Karen pointed her clipboard like a weapon. "You mock me, but when our foundations rot and lawns mold, you'll wish you'd listened." "Karen," I said, "the only thing rotting here is your campaign." Even Phil cracked up. The debate ended in pure chaos. Team Wet erupted into a conga line. Team Dry stormed out muttering about bylaws. Someone spilled punch on Karen's shoes. I could practically hear her sanity bubbling away. The next day, she escalated again, radio ads. Yes, somehow Karen managed to buy time on the local AM station. Every hour, a calm announcer voice said, "This message is sponsored by Citizens for a Dry Future. Remember, wet lawns lead to weak communities." Tyler responded with a pirate radio stream blasting, "It's raining men," on repeat. Then Lana organized a hydration rally. Dozens of neighbors gathered on their lawns waving hoses like flags. One family even built a homemade float shaped like a sprinkler. When the parade passed Karen's house, she came running out waving her arms like a storm alarm. "This is a farce," she yelled. "I'll call the authorities." "Too late," shouted Jenkins, the 78-year-old with a kiddie pool. They already joined. Sure enough, the same fire department captain from before was there, sunglasses on, riding shotgun in the truck, honking the horn to the beat of "Surfin' USA." Karen froze mid-yell, her jaw dropping like a faulty faucet. Later that week, the election ballots went out. They were simple, 2 checkboxes. White heavy checkmark Marcus Reed, Team Wet. Crossmark Karen Wilcox, Team Dry. Voting was scheduled for Saturday, but the tension hit fever pitch early. Karen started door-knocking, handing out flyers that read, "Do you want property values or puddles?" Meanwhile, we set up a lemonade stand with a sign that said, "Every cup equals 1 vote for freedom." Karen accused us of bribery. We accused her of emotional dehydration. Things escalated when she caught 2 kids using water balloons to deliver our flyers. She chased them halfway down the street with her clipboard like a vengeful lifeguard. Tyler filmed the whole thing. Within hours, the video was online. Karen vs. the Splash Kids. It hit 500,000 views overnight. The top comment read, "This HOA needs its own Netflix show." Election day arrived, hot, sunny, perfect. Karen tried to move the ballot box indoors, to protect against humidity, but the crowd demanded it stay by the pool. Phil, ever the mediator, sighed and said, "Democracy should always be transparent like water." Voting began. People lined up with towels over their shoulders, sipping lemonade, kids waving "Stay cool" signs. The air buzzed with mischief. Karen hovered nearby, counting every ballot with paranoid eyes. When a neighbor dropped one in, she muttered, "Probably another vote for chaos." Tyler whispered to me, "If she loses, she's going to evaporate right there." I grinned. "Let's find out." An hour later, the votes were tallied. Phil cleared his throat dramatically. By a count of 48-3, the new HOA president is. Karen leaned forward, gripping her clipboard like a life raft. "Marcus Reed." The crowd exploded. Cheers, clapping, someone sprayed a hose in the air like a victory fountain. Tyler jumped into the pool fully clothed. Jenkins danced with his inflatable flamingo. Karen just stood there, eyes wide, mouth trembling, disbelief radiating off her like heat waves. "This is illegitimate," she shouted. "Voter fraud. Water-related bribery." Phil gently patted her shoulder. "Karen, democracy is a bit damp sometimes," she gasped. "You people are insane." Then she stormed off again, yelling something about appealing to regional HOA command, which, for the record, does not exist. That night, the victory party was legendary. The fire captain showed up with his crew. DJ Hose Begon returned for an encore. Someone brought a projector and screened all the viral videos, from the first pool party to the dunk tank, across my garage wall. We laughed until tears ran down our faces. Lana raised a toast, to the wettest, pettiest, happiest HOA in America. Everyone cheered. Even Phil got emotional. "I haven't seen neighbors this close in years," he said, dabbing his eyes. "You brought the community together, Marcus." Tyler smirked. "Technically, Karen did." We all laughed again. But just as the fireworks went off and I thought peace had returned to Maple Court, my phone buzzed with a notification from the HOA email list. Subject: New Proposal, Water Tax Initiative. From Karen Wilcox, citizen concerned for community cleanliness. I groaned. "Oh no, she's still at it." Tyler looked over my shoulder. "Water tax." I sighed. "I guess Karen's planning a comeback." He grinned. "Then so are we. Because in Maple Court, peace never lasts long. Especially when the sprinkler timer's set for chaos." Peace in Maple Court lasted exactly 3 days. 3. That's how long it took before Karen resurfaced, reborn, rehydrated with pure spite. At first, it was quiet. No rants, no emails, no clipboards, just eerie calm, like the silence before a sprinkler bursts to life. Then came the new posters. Stop wasting water, support the water tax. Each one had Karen's face again, this time holding a calculator like she was running for mayor of misery. According to her manifesto, yes, she wrote a manifesto, every household with a pool, fountain, or unnecessary water feature would owe a monthly hydration impact fee. Even bird baths weren't safe. Tyler texted me a picture of one taped to his mailbox. She's back. And she's charging rent for puddles. Lana chimed in. I'm half expecting her to install water meters on clouds. I sighed. Alright folks, time for Operation Final Splash. We started by investigating. Phil, who'd officially retired from the HOA after his sanity nearly evaporated, called me from his porch. Son, she's been visiting City Hall. Probably trying to get someone to enforce this nonsense. He was right. 2 days later, a city inspector's van appeared in our cul-de-sac. Karen followed behind in her beige sedan, tailing them like a police escort. She jumped out, clipboard in hand. This way, gentlemen. Observe the reckless aquatic indulgence. The inspectors, 2 young guys wearing reflective vests and the unmistakable look of, we don't get paid enough for this, followed her reluctantly. She led them straight to my yard. Here, she said, pointing dramatically. Unauthorized moisture activity. Excessive pool reflection. Probably evaporation theft. The taller inspector blinked. Evaporation theft? Karen nodded solemnly. He's stealing community humidity. The poor man rubbed his temples. Ma'am, that's not a thing. Tyler, of course, was recording from behind a bush. Dude, she's explaining water to government employees. The inspectors did a brief walk around, clearly trying not to laugh. Finally, the taller one turned to me. Sir, everything here looks perfectly up to code. Karen gasped. But the splashing. Ma'am, he said gently, splashing isn't illegal. She deflated like a wet balloon. Then we'll see what city revenue has to say about the water tax. And with that, she stormed off, yelling into her phone, Yes, this is a matter of municipal urgency. That night, I called in backup, the fire captain himself. Hey, I said, remember how you guys love community engagement? He chuckled. Oh no. What did she do now? Trying to tax water. There was a long pause. She's really fighting gravity at this point. Can you help us make a point? He laughed. Buddy, say no more. Saturday good. Perfect. Saturday arrived. The neighborhood gathered in my yard like it was a holiday. We'd set up lawn chairs, coolers, grills, the works. Everyone wore blue, the official color of Team Wet. Karen emerged from her house like a general entering enemy territory, crisp blouse, campaign sash reading, Vote Dry, Live High. She stormed up the street toward us, clutching a megaphone. Attention residents. By order of the proposed water tax initiative, this assembly constitutes unlawful fluid distribution. The crowd giggled. Then, right on cue, sirens echoed in the distance. Karen's eyes lit up. Ah. The city enforcers have arrived. Except they hadn't. A red fire truck turned the corner. Same crew, same captain, sunglasses reflecting pure mischief. The crowd went wild. Kids waved. Someone shouted, Hydration heroes. The captain stepped out, grinning. Heard there was a water crisis. Thought we'd help. Karen froze. Not you people again. Oh, we come when called, he said cheerfully. And we brought friends. Behind him rolled a second truck, a tanker for demonstration purposes. It parked right by the curb. Karen's jaw dropped. What are you, N.O.? The captain held up a megaphone. All right, folks. Today's lesson, water pressure and community spirit. Who wants to help us test the new MIS system? The cheers were deafening. Karen waved her arms. This is sabotage. You're ruining my campaign. He grinned. On the contrary, ma'am. We're providing free irrigation. And with one dramatic gesture, the hose came to life. A massive, beautiful arc of water sprayed over the street, shimmering in the sunlight, cascading like a suburban rainbow. Kids danced under it. Adults clapped. Even Jenkins did a slow-motion dive into a kiddie pool shouting, "Freedom!" Karen screamed, "You'll pay for this!" Tyler, recording again, shouted, "I think that's covered by the water tax." The captain chuckled into his megaphone. "This, my friends, is what we call full coverage." Then he aimed the mist nozzle higher, right over Karen's campaign posters. The ink began to run instantly. Her smiling face melted into streaks of color, dripping down the poles like sad confetti. The crowd howled with laughter. Karen stood there drenched, makeup running, clutching her clipboard like a soaked relic. "This is war," she yelled. Phil, sipping lemonade, called out, "Karen, maybe dry off first before declaring it." Even the firefighters were laughing now. One of them leaned toward me and whispered, "You guys need a trophy or something." "Oh, we've got one," I said, holding up a framed printout of the county's old letter. "Stay cool." By late afternoon, the water had turned the street into a sparkling wonderland. The sun reflected off puddles, kids rode bikes through sprays, and laughter echoed everywhere. Karen finally retreated indoors, drenched and defeated. Her last words before slamming the door: "You'll regret this when your property values drop." Tyler yelled back, "Our happiness values just went up." That one got applause. A week later, the city officially sent out a notice. After review, the proposed water tax initiative has been deemed baseless, unenforceable, and mildly entertaining. Please continue to hydrate responsibly. It was signed, I kid you not, by the same clerk she'd harassed at City Hall. Lana printed it on posters. Officially baseless since 2025. We hung them everywhere. Now, every year since, Maple Court celebrates Hydration Day. The fire trucks return. The sprinklers run non-stop. We host BBQs, water fights, and even crown a Queen of Splash. Last year's winner was Jenkins' cat, who fell into the pool and became a local legend. And Karen? She still lives here, of course. No HOA story ever truly ends. But she's quieter now. Her posters are gone. Her clipboard appears less often. Sometimes, when it rains, I see her standing on her porch, glaring at the sky as if she's filing a complaint against the clouds. But even she can't stop nature. Last week, she passed me while I was adjusting the garden hose. For a second, she opened her mouth, maybe to scold, maybe to surrender. Instead, she sighed and said, "At least use the fine mist setting. It conserves water." Progress. I smiled. "Sure thing, Karen." As she walked away, I turned the nozzle and let a soft mist fill the air, catching the sunlight. The rainbow shimmered across the yard, and I thought, sometimes peace doesn't come from avoiding conflict. It comes from embracing the splash.